Greetings, welcome to the forest on this greatest of days. Here I am in the new Hemlock Chestnut Grove, and I'm about to plant the very last of the new chestnuts that I received from the Chestnut Council of Canada to fill out this incredible space. It's been so much work to get to this point. This used to be thick forest here at the edge of the vernal pools with this beautiful hillside here, giving the chestnuts, the American chestnut of course, exactly what they want the most. 1 foot wet and 1 foot dry. And thanks to the opening that I made here, getting rid of all of the spruce and swamp maple and especially the spice bush and so many other things that were cluttering this area. Now it's perfect for the chestnuts because there's a beautiful mid-sized red oak right here at the edge. And here's a slightly larger red oak that's about 60 feet tall with another one right behind it. And there are beautiful, big, mature red oaks all around here. If you don't know why I'm focusing on the red oak, check out more of this playlist about the sacred forest and what I'm doing with the chestnut. The Miracle Sisters chestnut is the one that started it all. And it's the pairing by nature of an American chestnut and a red oak. So there are lots of baby red oaks popping up all over here because there are so many giants around, giving ample opportunity. In fact, I planted one of these new American chestnuts right beside a baby red oak so that they can hopefully get together. Just look at this beautiful soil. This is virgin forest soil because we're on the downside of this slope that leads to the vernal pools, as I said. So never in history has this been a good spot for farming. I would wager that this has never been farmed. It's never been interfered with. And now we're going to put this lovely, beautiful, and I saved the best for last because just look, this is, oops, the identification tag came off. I'll put that back on when I'm done. This is 1 year old. A year ago, this was a seed, a chestnut. In fact, some of these still had the chestnut sitting here. This one has fallen off. But you can see here in the container, there's one of the empty husks from a chestnut right there. So anyways, all of this happened in 1 year. And just look, it's just beautiful. So much, it's already branched off. So I put this one in the place of honor. This is right in the middle of the whole works. And so it's going to be so beautiful. Well, that hole is just about right. So I'm going to put some of this basically, I won't call it soil, it's material, but it's got those little fertilizer pellets in it. So we'll put some of that at the bottom of the hole, but we're not going to have this right against that because we don't want to burn the roots by touching that, this artificial food, if you will. It's basically nitrogen fertilizer. So we'll put that right at the bottom, and then we will put some of our sandy forest soil here. This is the shovel full that I took out. So we'll just put that on top of it, a very thin layer, and that'll act like insulation to protect the newly emerging roots from directly contacting that stuff. And look at that, it actually is standing nicely there. So now it's just a matter of filling it up with more, like look at how beautifully loose the sand is. But it's not just sand. Obviously you can see the dark, rich color. But it's sandy, which makes it very easy to work with, and more importantly, very easy for the emerging roots to spread and grow. Well, just look at how many roots there are within this clump. Everything finds it easy to root in sandy soil. So look, I just have to shake it and the soil comes out. And then I'll just backfill it. Oops, I don't want to lose that tag. I'll put, oh, there's other tags in here. Okay, I'll just set it here for, here, I'll just hook it on here. There we go. So now, that's it. The forecast is calling for rain. In fact, it's been raining pretty much all week long on and off, which is uncharacteristic for here, but it is May, so we get more rain than usual, which is good for the growing. So that's it. I'm going to put that barrier around it, just like this one, because it's already forking out, won't work with these tubes for obvious reasons. But I've brought a larger piece of mesh here that I'll put around it. I'll do that off camera. So this is it. The last one is planted. So let's have a little chat right nearby in a beautiful spot that emerged while I was creating this place. Just look at this beautiful spot. I'm right at the bottom of the hill here, right at the corner. Oh, and I didn't even talk, well, there you go. That's something special to talk about. Unfortunately, the day is getting warmer and the black flies are coming out, so it's time to put in a little protection. This, in fact, I should start by talking about that. Just outside of your view there is the chestnut that started it all, as far as creating this hemlock chestnut grove is concerned. But it's also, more importantly, the chestnut tree that began this entire project, that started in 1906, the year 1906, when Walter McCall purchased this property to attempt the first reforestation project. And it's my belief that that chestnut tree that is now coming back up after over a century, and there's a video about that, there's a couple of videos about it in my series. That must have been such a sight to behold while it was still alive, just as the blight was starting. And it was situated right in this corner because we are right at the edge, the property line between my forest and quite literally right where the big trees begin again over there. That's the next property over, which is now protected by the Long Point Basin Land Trust. So this was a well-established property line, even when Walter McCall purchased it in 1906. And that massive chestnut tree was standing at the edge, because in these areas, in this farmland, it's a dying custom now, but it was the standard to have a tree line along every edge of a property. When you were farming, there would be a big row of big trees all around your property. And so that's why that chestnut tree was there. It was part of the tree line. And going along that line, extending it far to the south, on that same line, is the Miracle Sisters chestnut. It's not a coincidence that these chestnut trees and the Warhol chestnut is at the back line, the southern line, that divides my forest from the one to the south of me. And so all these chestnut trees are on the property lines. So these were established tree lines during the farming time, going back centuries. And I believe that that one, because of its giant footprint that still remains, it's decaying horribly, but it's still there. And it had a huge footprint. And here it is sending up volunteers after over a century. And they are doing so well. I'm so glad that fate made me discover that, because I was making this snowshoe trail here with no idea that that was there. And then because of the clearing operation that I did there and the sunshine came down, it triggered the sleeping giant after over a century to send up these new volunteers. Isn't that incredible? Oh, it makes me so... there's no word for how it makes me feel. And so that's right there on the far edge. Well, not quite the far edge. I put a couple of the babies that are from the Miracle Sisters chestnut tree, which is, to me, undoubtedly one of the children, great probably grandchildren, of the original chestnut. I've never named that one, and now it's time. That is the Walter McCall chestnut. He didn't plant it, but he created all of this inspired by it. So it shall be named after him. So the McCall chestnut is undoubtedly the great-grandmother or something like that of the Miracle Sisters chestnut. And so these two children that I planted at the end there are the great-great-grandchildren of the McCall chestnut. And hopefully someday, one of those two volunteers, I've left two of the mass of volunteers that were the most beautiful and strong. Hopefully one day, one or both of those will be big enough to produce nuts. And wouldn't that just be incredible to have them mixing their genes with the great-grandchildren, and at the same time with all of these disparate chestnuts provided by the Chestnut Council of Canada. The amount of diversity in this little area is phenomenal. And this is part of my legacy now. And this is my last planting. And so isn't it fitting that where it all began 119 years ago is where it's now coming to its fruition. I've completed my task. Well, that's not entirely true. There is going to be one more area that I'm going to be creating a grove in, but it's a secret. I'm not going to be sharing it publicly. There won't be any videos about it. I'm not going to say any more about it. Maybe someday, if this channel survives and I continue to make videos, which I'm kind of getting tired of doing, especially because this channel's kind of going nowhere. Maybe if the channel survives and there are enough enthusiasts, maybe I'll do some sort of membership thing or something like that. And I will reveal other information to the members that I'm not revealing. You might think that I'm showing you everything because I've made so many Chestnut videos. Nope. There's plenty that I'm not sharing, including the secret grove that is yet to be planted. But that's neither here nor there. The important thing that I wanted to get to as my last message in this, which may be the last Chestnut video, we'll see, is the importance of the private landowner when these decisions on how to maintain, how to care for, how to propagate, how to mix different species, all of these things are my decision. Not some committee, not some nonsensical corporate-backed, who knows what their actual mandate is or what their goals are. Nope, I'm making the decisions. And I'm doing what's best, and the forest responds. The success I'm having is overwhelming. But I'm not going to live forever. I wish that I could live a much, much longer time, say another 100 or so years, and keep my strength so that I can make sure that things go well. Hopefully, somehow, fate will provide a path forward so that the way that I'm continuing what Walter McCall started, someone else can continue what I have started. But that's not the main message. Hopefully, somehow, this will come while I'm still alive. But the important message I want to share with you is, if it's within your means, start your own project. Or take over mine, but only one will take over mine. I want as many people as possible to start their own as well, wherever you are in the world. It doesn't just have to be about the American chestnut. I'm working with many other species. This is just my focal point for these videos because of my unbelievable love for the chestnut. But I have just as much love for so many other species, including the hemlock, which happens to be my favorite tree on earth. But the chestnut is pretty damn close. It's so important for private landowners to be doing what I'm doing, not just with the chestnut, but with everything in general, preserving nature, doing what's best for the planet, doing our part. I have done a tremendous amount here in my forest, and my work is not done. As long as I'm here and alive, I'm going to keep it going. Hopefully, someone will take the baton from me. Sooner rather than later, actually, the amount of energy that it took to do this, along with everything else that I'm doing, was phenomenal. It's used up every ounce of my energy. I can't keep going at this pace. But I want as many people as possible to do what they can. Do your part. The rewards are infinite.